with everything I do, I've got three things that have to be represented in every company that I build, and it's content, commerce, and community, right? And you need an angle on each of those before you get in there. And so our content, our big move was Mom started making YouTube videos every week. And this was in 2008, so YouTube was a year and a half old. Still to this day, like 74% of the people on YouTube are 15 years old and younger. That's a real stat. And so my 70-year-old demographic was not hanging out there, right? And so we had the challenge of like, how do you market to quilters? How do you find, like, where's their water cooler on the internet? There isn't an ESPN for quilters. I don't know if you knew this. There's nowhere that these people are hanging out. Nobody's building content for them. And so we started making these videos, and then I had to manually build this like email list around what was going on. But we got to do this very sort of altruistic, proactive thing with the email where we just gave them cool stuff. We're like, hey, we made these videos for you. Check them out, right? It was a very, very like, we love you, you're great. And as a result of that, so I have an email list with like almost 1 million people on it. We get a 70% open rate on my daily email, right? Like, I don't know, as a marketing guy, that's like pretty dang impressive. And it speaks to like a very trusting demographic that we have been very loyal to. And so email is a really powerful chain for us, but we just had to create content to support what we were going out because they don't want to open, it's another amazing sale today and another, I mean, fabric is funny. You don't need that much fabric. And most people, if you have a grandma or a mother, they have plenty of fabric and you want them to have less, right? That you're not trying to help them get more. And so we had to come up with stuff that would help them use the fabric they had so they then would want to come and buy more. So we had that was our content, our community. We started this forum because I grew up in the age of forums, and I thought it would be really great. And again, right, like where do your parents want to go hang out on the internet? I was creating water cooler hangouts, places where they would gather that I could talk to them. So we started this forum, and because it was just me and my buddy Dave. Right, we had to lie to everybody, and so I was Elizabeth and Sarah B, and Dave was Carmen and Ginny, and we would have these fake conversations every day because nobody wants to join a conversation that's not happening. I'd be like, Dave, or no, I'd be like, Carmen, that's the cutest quilt. I can't believe you did that. He's like, oh, thank you. This is that. For like 3 weeks until we finally got a couple of people. It feels weird saying it now. Like we duped them into talking to fake people. Now it's like a 100,000 person community, and I mean, it's so great, and they love each other, and they like support each other, and they have prayer threads for who are we praying for this morning, and they have like swap things, and they send presents to each other. It's like an amazing community, but we had to build this from scratch, and like when you're starting from zero, man, it is the hardest thing to find that first person. And then the second, like getting to your first 100 customers is really friggin' hard. And so going through that, man, like just trying to find people gave me a lot of empathy for how crappy it is to grow a business. But also like how, I mean, you just have to do it. You just gotta brute force your way into some of that stuff. So that was our community. We had our content, our community, and the commerce. We had the angle with the daily deal, and we had some shipping stuff, right? So we had a great model there. As we're doing this, the tutorials, the ones on YouTube, we have this idea of putting out a magazine where the magazine would carry the last 10 tutorials that we did online, right? So we just turn them into this print form, repurposing our content. I was like, this is a cool idea. So we call a magazine publisher, and well, like we knew each other from the industry, and they were like, this is a great idea. We'll call it Quilting Quickly. Right, and with Jenny Doan. And so you guys will do all the content in here, 20 projects. We'll do 4 issues this year, and let's see how it goes. And I don't know if you know this, but like magazines suck a lot of times. And the way that they build their pricing model, they pay us $200 per project. Right, so we do all the work, write all the content, build the whole thing. At the end of the year, for 4 issues, they paid us $32,000. They sold 100,000 copies of each issue at $10 a piece. So they did $4 million on this and paid us $32,000, right? And I don't know anything about magazines, and so I call them and I'm like, that was a great test run. You got, like, we killed it, right? 100,000 copies each, and they sold out. We did awesome. What are we talking royalty and stuff? You know, like, let's get a little profit share here and we can keep going. Thinking that we can get to, like, if they would have offered me 3%, like, it would be a done deal, right? 3% of sales and we'd keep going, it'd be awesome. Christy, who was the person that worked there at the time, she's like, no, you know, we're pretty happy with the arrangement. Like, I think we're good. I was like, well, of course, you've got all the money, you bunch of jerks. And she's like, well, you know, it's not normal for us. Maybe we could offer you, let me talk to the manager. We can offer you $300 per project. And so this is my hatred and spite moment. I was like, Christy, if I have to, I will come into your industry, I will build a magazine, and I will take you down. And her comment was great, right? Because she's like, it was like a moment from Taken, right? She's like, good luck. And I was like, oh, it's on. So I get on Facebook and I say, who do I know that's in the magazine world? I need to ask you some questions. I set up 12 interviews for the next 2 days. And I just asked them, I'm like, what do I need? What am I doing? I needed 3 salaries. I needed a managing editor, a creative director, and a technical writer, right? Because I'm writing technical things. You can't send out a pattern that's like says a 4 instead of a 2. And so I'm like, all right, so it cost me about $200,000 in salaries. To print a 108-page, like, it's like a book, way better paper than a magazine, 108-page magazine, cost me 78 cents. And they were selling it for $10, those greedy jerks. And so I came in, I was like, all right, we're gonna do this. I'm gonna sell it for $6 because I am the Robin Hood of quilting. I've still got movie theater popcorn markups, right? Like, I'm buying it for 74 cents, selling it for $6. I'm feeling great about this. I launched a magazine. We need to get to 10,000 subscribers for it to be a profitable venture, right? Because I've got $200,000 in salaries. We get to 12,000 in 8 hours. And like, I'm just coming like a rampage. So we matched the 100,000 subscribers, and it's the coolest green button I've ever built because we use Stripe, and like, I just click it, and all my little workers go and charge credit cards for 2 hours. And I'm like, bring in the money, we're doing it. But we make this really cool magazine with no ads, right? That was the thing, is I look at the old industry, because as I'm building my spreadsheet, I'm like, I'm missing something. How are magazines going bankrupt when you buy for 74 cents and I'm selling for $6 to $10? Like, this is crazy. And apparently their industry was built 40 years ago when they had to have an ad sales team. And a big part of the magazine was the sales of the ads. And you couldn't make money just on selling the magazine. And then you'd have this, you know, like all this overhead and all the thing with 3 salaries. I didn't have any of that crap. And so it gave me this eye of like, well, what if we just run, you know, what if we go the opposite direction of all the trends, right? Everybody's saying magazines are dying. I don't like reading magazines on my iPad. I want a physical magazine. My grandma definitely wants a physical magazine. And so I was like, well, we'll just go the opposite direction of everyone else. And let's go into this old antiquated industry and figure out how to build it in a way that it makes money. Because it made money in the beginning. You know those guys were making money in the beginning. And then they just got greedy. And now everybody looks at it and is like, yeah, there's no money in that. Dude, there's a ton of money in that. So we built that. That's like year 1, it did like $4 million for us, right? I mean, it was a great move that you just get to add onto this thing using my same content and adding a couple of salaries. Like, my principle out of that is look around you. There's crappy old industries around you that your customers probably love and they have a legacy attachment to, that you just need to figure out how they made money back in the day and cut out all the 30 years of bureaucracy between then and now and go back to it.